you got to respect Shakur for trying to get that knockout. Who would have thought that the guy running was Purists, the one who said that Shakur was going to run? I seen Shakur in his eyes. There was a time where he looked at Christina Poncher and myself, and he said, "I'm gonna knock him out." It was about the 6th round, and I actually thought he was gonna get it. But there's some fighters who we're not gonna knock out. Purists is a tough fighter. Don't underestimate the guy. Shakur might make him look easy, but he's not an easy opponent.
How much easier is boxing when Shakur Stevenson is not in front of you? That guy's difficult, isn't he?
Oh yeah, Shakur's that guy has a ring IQ like none other. He's defensive is another level. His speed is great. His long reach. I couldn't get close to him.
How does a fighter lose a match without ever really being hit? It's one of the biggest mysteries in modern boxing, and it's the reason why one of the sport's most dominant champions was recently barred from the history books. Imagine stepping into a ring, prepared for the fight of your life, only to realize your opponent isn't just fighting you. He's manipulating the very air you breathe and the space you occupy. This isn't about power or speed. It's about a psychological dismantling so profound that it left a world-class champion like Oscar Valdez feeling completely broken. Even though Shakur Stevenson walked away with the belts and a perfect scorecard, the boxing world refused to give him his flowers. In fact, what happened next was a scandal that rocked the industry, with experts claiming that the only reason Shakur won was because of an illegal defensive system that no referee seems brave enough to stop.
Because one thing that happened to me was, I got frustrated in there with Shakur Stevenson. But like I said before, Teofimo Lopez is a completely different fighter. He actually thinks in the ring with his ring generalship, and he has a game plan. And whatever game plan it is, I would say stick to it. Because Shakur Stevenson, I don't think he's going to risk a lot with Teofimo. With someone with Teofimo who does carry a big punch.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. We saw Shakur let his hands go, be a little bit more offensive against Cepeda, Camarón. And it was a great fight, man. I felt like that was one of Shakur's best performances. I'm like, man, these are the type of I want to see more of this from Shakur, because yeah, he did get hit a little bit more than he wanted to, but it was an entertaining fight. Do you think we see that come out of Shakur in this fight with Teo?
Teofimo Lopez, Shakur Stevenson was obligated to be that fight. I mean, there's someone like Camarón Cepeda who's become putting all that pressure on him. Shakur Stevenson was obligated. He had no choice but to come out, and respond. And that was a great fight for Shakur Stevenson. I was watching it. I was like, man, that's what the people want to see. But Shakur's there to win. He's not there to please the crowd. He said it before. He wants to just win. So he did an amazing fight, in my opinion, with Camarón Cepeda. He got hit, but nothing too bad, in my opinion, where it was considered a war, or where he got actually.
The night Oscar Valdez stepped into the ring against Shakur Stevenson, he expected a war. He expected the kind of Mexican-style fire that has defined his career. But instead of a battle, he found himself trapped in a nightmare. Valdez later described a sensation that every fighter fears: the ghost factor. It's the feeling of being 100% prepared, throwing a perfect combination and hitting absolutely nothing but oxygen. But it was more than just missing. Valdez felt his spirit being chipped away round by round. He wasn't just losing a points battle, he was losing his sense of reality. By the midpoint of the fight, the look on Valdez's face wasn't one of exhaustion, but of total, soul-crushing frustration. He was being broken by a man who wasn't even trying to knock him out.
And the other feather in Shakur's cap is, okay, if you are able to cut the distance, it's still hard to hit him because, like you mentioned, he rolls back a little bit. He turns a little bit, he'll catch a punch. So it's tough, man, when you're in there with a guy like that, you're throwing these punches and you're not really hitting. One thing though, I believe you try to go to the body actually a lot now that I think about it against Shakur, but yeah, I haven't seen a lot of people try to go to Shakur's body lately.
No, he's a defensive fighter. I mean, that's always been said from all culture. When you fight guys that fight on the back foot or they run, hit them to a body. But it's one of those things, again, where it's easier said than done. Hit the body. You know, yeah, of course, certain people have the knockout power, but you got to hit him first. And Shakur Stevenson, the way he's positioned, the way his back foot's there, and then you see him comfortable, and he's all right. This is my shot, and you throw it. He just rocks back, or he has that back foot, just steps back, and he has a long reach, so he just counter punches you. And that's part of the game. You get hit and not get hit, and Shakur Stevenson does it to the T. He perfected that since he was an amateur and Olympian, silver medalist, and now he's done it as a professional. You know, maybe not the whole world enjoys it, but the boxing, the pure boxing fan will maybe appreciate that.
I know you tried to do it, and Shakur's undefeated at this point, but like, how do you beat a Shakur Stevenson?
You know, I think how you beat a Shakur Stevenson, if I can go back and you do something, try. And I say this, try, because like I said, you just said it done, but try to put the pressure like Cameron Cepeda did, and just wait for your shot to land good, and make that damage where he has no.
So, what exactly was this illegal defense that had Valdez so rattled? It's a dark art known in the inner circles of boxing as the stick and rub, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Most fighters use their lead hand to jab or measure distance, but Shakur uses it as a physical weapon of obstruction. He doesn't just keep his hand out, he places his lead glove directly on his opponent's face. He'll press it against the bridge of the nose or rub the rough texture of the leather over the eyes. This isn't just a stiff jab. It's a physical framing tactic used to blind the opponent and reset their rhythm. By the time the referee thinks about stepping in, Shakur has already moved, leaving his opponent swinging at a ghost while their vision is still blurry from the last rub. It's a veteran trick that dances on the edge of the rules, and for many, it's the ultimate cheat code.
Oscar Valdez thought Shakur was going to win. Teofimo won. He was like, no. I think Teofimo Lopez, it's a 50-50 fight, in my opinion, because Teofimo's been proving it before. And I gotta emphasize this, if someone can pull it off, it's definitely Teofimo Lopez. If Teofimo Lopez doesn't do it, I don't see who is gonna beat Shakur Stevenson. I don't see another fighter who will beat him. I know I said Pitbull, I think because Pitbull came with some problems, but I wouldn't see no one else beating him unless Shakur Stevenson goes to 147, and then he's obligated to have some competition with I don't know, Ben Conner and all the other welterweights who are doing amazing things in the division. But they either from 130 to 135 to 140, I want to see not even Keyshawn Davis, who they have said before they're not going to fight, but I don't see another fighter even. Well, I will say one fighter. The next years, Abdullah Mason. I think Abdullah Mason is a hot prospect. I know he's a world champion now, but I think I'm a big fan of Abdullah Mason. I think he's going to bring amazing things to the world of boxing.
Yeah, no, it's like just off the top of my head too, I'm like thinking like who at like 140 would like pose the biggest like challenge or like the biggest threat to Shakur. And honestly, it's Teo. Like outside of Teo, like Gary Antoine Russell's there, Richardson Hitchens there, but I Shakur would be the favorite in those fights as well. Dalton as well, like Shakur would be the favorite. Pitbull as well, Shakur would be the favorite. Lamont Roach, I think maybe Lamont Roach and Pitbull are a little.
I don't even know how the odds are with this fight. What are the odds for
you know what? I am not sure, but I would say that Shakur is probably the betting favorite, just given what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
For odds versus Teofimo. Let's see here what the odds are, but I wouldn't imagine they're. Here we go. Plus 240 is Teo.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Let's see here. That's one of the betting. Yeah. Plus 240 underdog. So if you bet $100, you get 240 if Teo wins. So you bettors out there, I don't know if anyone knows inside info more than us, let us know, because that's a money-making opportunity right there.
The fallout from this tactic didn't stay in the ring. It exploded into the offices of Ring Magazine. Despite Stevenson putting on what many called a technical masterclass, the committee that decides the pound-for-pound rankings did something unprecedented. They blocked him. They refused to let him enter the top 10, with one voter famously stating that at least 10% of Shakur's success was due to illegal tactics. They argued that a true P4P great shouldn't need to rely on sportsmanship-violating moves like face-palming to win. This sparked a massive divide in the community. Was Shakur a genius who had mastered the dark arts of the sport? Or was he a dirty fighter who was being protected by referees who didn't understand the nuance of the foul?
The fight with Oscar Valdez, Mexican-American, right? They put the Ring magazine title on the line. However, you look at the latest news, they did a brand new Ring magazine updates, and Shakur Stevenson earns the Ring title, but he doesn't enter the pound for pound Ring rankings, similar to what they did to other Black American fighter, Jermell Charlo. And if you look at some of the quotes, it just sounds laughable. Quote, one of the committee members says, quote, "I don't like the idea of Shakur Stevenson coming in at pound for pound. I can wait until he wins a fight in which he does not stick and rub his glove on his opponent's face for the better part of 12 rounds. At least 10% of his success was due to that illegal tactic on Saturday. True, the remaining 90% was impressive enough, but pound for pound has to have the component of sportsmanship that I honestly didn't see from him. In the fight for the number 10 spot, this is a 10-7 round for Ioka. Game over. Sorry, Shaq." And he abbreviated Shakur Stevenson. I don't know anyone who calls him Shaq, but this is somebody who determined that Shakur Stevenson basically cheated and did something.
To understand why this is so effective, you have to look at the 3 ways the stick and rub destroys a pro. First, there's the vision block. If you can't see the counterpunch coming, you can't move your head. Shakur rubs the glove to ensure his opponent is momentarily blinded right as he's about to pivot. Second, there's distance control. He uses his arm as a physical bar, making it impossible for a power puncher like Valdez to get into the pocket. And finally, there's the psychological break. When you are constantly being touched, pushed, and blinded, you get greedy. You start lunging, and that's exactly when Shakur makes you pay. It's why Valdez, despite not being in a slugfest, left the ring looking like he'd been through a meat grinder. His face was tattered, not from heavy hooks, but from the constant abrasive friction of an illegal defense.
I'm fighting a road runner. I'm the Coyote. You chose me. I ain't choose you. You chose me. So I'm gonna tell you straight the F up. You can go back to 135. We'll send you back to lightweight. You still got your WBC belt. You're gonna be fine. Shakur will fall.
Now, we're heading into 2026, and this controversy has reached a boiling point. The boxing world is bracing for the January 31st showdown between Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez at Madison Square Garden. Teofimo isn't just aware of the illegal defense, he's obsessed with it. He spent the last few months publicly calling out Shakur for being a dirty track star, and has even hinted that he's prepared to use his own illegal counters to deal with the face rubbing. This isn't just a title fight anymore, it's a grudge match over the very soul of boxing technique. Teofimo claims he has the antidote to the ghost style, but critics wonder if anyone can truly prepare for a fighter who refuses to let you see what's coming.
Shakur is stepping up because he got nobody else to go after. He's stepping up to try to prove a point. You know, his big bro, aka Terrence Bud Crawford, put a huge upset and made a historical moment in time for the sport of boxing and changed it by beating Canelo Alvarez to become the undisputed super middleweight world champion. So I think that I think those things like that make Shakur want to step up the plate, step up to the challenge, and face Teofimo, who is I. So I'm going to show everyone that his defense is not as immaculable like they say.
The debate has split the fans right down the middle. On one side, you have the purists who see Shakur as a defensive wizard, a man who is simply too smart for the honest fighters of the world. They compare him to legends like Floyd Mayweather, who also use dirty framing to stay untouchable. On the other side, you have the critics who say this style is killing the sport. They argue that if every fighter started sticking and rubbing, boxing would become a boring, unwatchable mess of clinches and fouls. Even young stars like Abdullah Mason are being watched closely to see if they'll adopt these same tactics, leading many to wonder if we're entering a new era where winning ugly is the only thing that matters.
I think that's the hardest one. I think that's the hardest one to pick, depending on who the judges are. Because I think I'm gonna go Shakur. I'm gonna go Shakur. I'm gonna just go Shakur because I think defensively he's a little more sound. I think, and I also think not only is he sound, I also think that a lot of the judges and referees give him credit for being defensively sound. You know, I think he's probably the only fighter in boxing that gets credit for being defensively sound. You know what I mean? So, I thought the Shakur that fought Williams Zepeda was phenomenal. And I just think that defensively, damn, I love Tiafimo though, but damn, I'm gonna go draw. I'm gonna go draw. If we got the right judges, man, and the judges are playing it right, I think Tiafimo throws more. I don't think he lands more, but I think he throws more, and that makes it more entertaining for how the judges can score the card, because I think Tiafimo's going to push the pressure. He's going to throw more. I don't think he will land more, but I think it balances out the fight to say, arguably, that man deserves a draw.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, Shakur Stevenson doesn't care about the labels. He's undefeated, he's a multi-division champion, and he's convinced that he's the best to ever do it. But the price of perfection is steep. By being so untouchable, he has become the villain in his own story. As he prepares to walk into the garden to face Teofimo, the question isn't just whether he can win, but whether he can do it in a way that finally earns him the respect he craves. Does being the greatest defensive fighter require breaking the rules, or has the world just not caught up to the level of mental warfare Shakur is playing? One thing is for certain. After January 31st, the stick and rub will either be solidified as a masterstroke or exposed as the crack in the armor that finally brings the ghost back down to earth. But what are your thoughts on this? Does Shakur Stevenson play dirty to win? Let us know in the comments. That's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Stay tuned, and we will catch you in the next video.